So as some of you know, I've been making these tiny sketchbooks and painting in them with my handmade watercolors. This was the first one I made, and it was a way of testing my handmade watercolors. It consisted mostly of tiny landscapes, and this poem that you see, I thought well expressed the relationship of landscape and human being that we have. Sometimes it just takes a little walk outside to get out of our own head. So I have a series of teeny tiny landscapes that I painted in 2 or 3 layers with my very first batch of handmade watercolors that I make from pigments. Many of them 100% natural, some of them 90% natural, all of them are non-toxic. So I've been really enjoying the process of making them and using them. They're very highly pigmented, and I made these tiny sketchbooks on paper that's made in Montreal. I live in Burlington, Vermont, so there's a nice sense of connection with place. The second one I made was focused on flowers, so I have named some of the colors after flowers. So I call this color clover, this violet, this dandelion, and the green is leaf. And here I used brief lines from poems I really like. I didn't even reference them because they're such short quotations. And then on the left, I added words that connect them. So for example, now I have come to love, and love comes quietly. Luckily, this heartens me, because we did not come to remain whole. Instead, watch things grow. After all, what are we without this? My love, come with me. In fact, come home. Why? Because it is time. The last one I made, and by the way, you can watch me paint some of this in an earlier video. The last one I made was inspired by cave paintings. And because cave paintings remind me of history, but also very much of violence, maybe because so many of them are connected to hunting scenes or sacrifice scenes, we don't really know what those paintings are about. But for me, they evoke a sense of violence and perhaps the numinous, the sacred. So I chose a quotation for the cover that says, "Each act of tenderness amends the violence of history." I believe something we can do to offset some of the violence in our world, in the present as in the past, is to be kind as much as we can. I am not really a kind person by nature, but we can all make an effort. And I used quotations from a long poem by Eugenio Montale, who's a fellow Italian who actually wrote many poems and won the Nobel Prize for Literature. This poem is called La Storia. I couldn't find a translation, so I translated it myself quite literally. And for this little booklet, I only used 100% natural colors, mostly earth colors, and for the black, I used what's normally known as ivory black, which is no longer made with ivory, thankfully, but I believe with bone. So it is an organic paint as opposed to the inorganic earth pigments that constitute all the greens and browns you see. Here the poem starts. Again, it's a long poem, so it's not the entire thing, but I picked some lines. "History does not unfold like an uninterrupted chain of links. In any case, many links do not hold." And now on the right, you will see paintings inspired by European caves, which is what I did at first, and then I decided to fill the left side of the page, and those are non-European paintings. There's really no reason for it, I just wanted some variety. "History does not contain the before and the after. Nothing in her mumbles over a low fire. History is not produced by those who think of her, nor by those who ignore her. History is stubborn, detests the bit by bit, does not proceed, nor does it recede. History does not make excuses for herself, nor does she deplore. History administers neither caresses nor whiplashes. History is not a teacher of anything that concerns us. History is not the bulldozer some say she is. She leaves crypts, holes, hiding places. There are those who survive. History is also benevolent. She destroys as much as she can. History scratches the bottom like a trawl net with some tears in it, and more than one fish escapes. I hope you enjoyed this, and thank you.